77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts, including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, June 30th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sun and clouds this morning. Could see some thunderstorms this afternoon. High 87. Tonight, overnight, could see a stray shower, low 76. And then kind of the same forecast for Tuesday. Clouds to start the day. Afternoon thunderstorms possible. High 86. If you are walking out the door with us right now, 71 and clear in Smithtown out on Long Island. It's 69 and cloudy in Princeton over in New Jersey. And it's 72 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
The top 5 at 5.
The men who want to be mayor take their pitch to the voters. Bullets fly during the gay pride celebrations. A shark chomps on a swimmer on Long Island. Tears at a funeral for a 2-year-old. And a Staten Island family tries to hold on to their pet pig. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. It was the big gay pride celebrations here in Midtown yesterday. It was a violent end. It started okay with the big parade down Fifth Avenue.
And I'm so grateful to be here with such an incredible group of people.
Everyone can just be together and happy in their own safe space.
Yeah, definitely inclusivity. I think that's the best part of it. And just seeing everyone so happy and joyful just to celebrate it, it's really great.
Yeah, so the demonstration, the parade, very celebratory as it is every single year. It goes right by the Stonewall Bar where those riots took place back in 1969. Started at 26th Street at noon. All that went well, but it was the after celebrations where there was some chaos. 6 people injured after someone sprayed a bear spray, like a bear repellent. This was in Washington Square Park around 8 o'clock last night. They did arrest one person, not clear why they took that bear spray and sprayed it all over Washington Square Park. And then it got even more intense a couple hours later. This was 10 o'clock last night. 2 people shot in the Village just blocks away from the Stonewall Inn. Police say shots were fired right near Sheridan Square around 10 p.m. One person shot in the head, taken to the hospital in critical condition. Another person injured in the leg. It's unclear if that was from a bullet wound. There were a lot of eyewitnesses because there was a lot of people in the Village celebrating gay pride last night.
And once we figured out that something happened, we just came down just to see, my friend is a medical doctor, so just in case, just to see, he's, maybe someone needs medical attention or anything like that.
Yeah, so no arrests have been made, but a gun was recovered at the scene. The circumstances, the motive for those bullets, just not clear. I guess it'll become more clear as soon as they make an arrest. 5:03. New York City is home to more billionaires than any town in the world. 123 as of last count. And Zohran Mamdani, who, of course, the Democratic Socialist who won the primary last Tuesday, does not like that. He doesn't think there should be billionaires. Of course, the person that owns our very station, WABC, John, is a billionaire himself, and he has threatened to sell his stores, his Christie's stores, if the Democratic Socialist is elected mayor. Of course, Zohran wants the city-run grocery stores, and John says we can't run a business that way. So Zohran Mamdani making the rounds on the news shows over this weekend. He was on Meet the Press where they asked him about that.
Well, you take me to my next question about grocery stores. Some executives, including one of the top grocery stores owners, billionaires threatening to shut down his supermarket in the city. John Castamatidis, who runs Christie's grocery chain, you're probably very familiar with him. He said this on Election Day, quote, "If the city of New York is going socialist, I will definitely close or sell or move or franchise the Gristedes locations." In order to run New York City successfully as mayor, do you not need the support of a billionaire businessman like John Catsimatidis?
I don't know if I need his support specifically, but I want to make clear that my vision for this city is a vision for every single New Yorker, including business leaders across the city. And the reason I say that is that my proposals, even the ones to increase the top corporate tax rate of New York to match that of New Jersey, are ones that would also benefit those business leaders. Because when I have conversations with them, what I also hear is the just how expensive this city is preventing them from attracting and retaining the talent they need to grow their business.
Now, what's interesting there is you notice he did not back down from one of those campaign promises where he said he would open government-run supermarkets. No, not there. Then he was asked about anti-Semitism. He's been hit with all kinds of accusations that he's anti-Semitic. Here's what he had to say about that.
I've heard from many Jewish New Yorkers who have shared their concerns with me, especially in light of the horrific attacks that we saw in Washington, D.C. and in Boulder, Colorado, about this moment of anti-Semitism in our country and in our city. And I've heard those fears and I've had those conversations, and ultimately they are part and parcel of why in my campaign I've put forward a commitment to increase funding for anti-hate crime programming by 800%.
President Trump weighing in for whoever becomes New York City's next mayor. Here's the warning for that person.
I can tell you this, whoever's mayor of New York is going to have to behave themselves, or the federal government is coming down very tough on them financially.
He seems to be mostly worried about the Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani taking over at City Hall.
I used to say we will never have a socialist in this country. No, but we'll have a communist. I mean, he's a communist and going to be mayor of New York.
Okay, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll hear from some of the other candidates. Another sign you'll hear at the bottom of the hour from Andrew Cuomo that suggests he's likely staying in the race for mayor. 5:06. Beachgoers are on some serious alert ahead of the 4th of July holiday weekend after a swimmer was bitten by a shark in the waters off Long Island.
Officials say the swimmer, a 20-year-old woman, suffered minor cuts to her left foot and leg. Newsday reports that based on photos of her injuries and witness accounts, it would appear that the animal involved was a juvenile sand tiger shark. The woman was treated and released at Nassau University Medical Center. It would be one of the first and, according to George Gorman, Regional Director of State Parks on Long Island, hopefully the last shark encounter of the season.
Let's hope so.
I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
The convicted killer of Junior Guzman Feliz, the 15-year-old stabbed to death at a Bronx bodega in 2018, is dead. The New York State Corrections Department over the weekend saying this 31-year-old was found dead at the Coxsackie Correctional Facility, upstate New York. They did not provide details. The gang member was serving 25 years to life for murdering Junior. He and 12 other gang members had been convicted in Junior's death. They wrongly believed at the time, back in 2018, that the boy belonged to a rival gang. WABC News Time 5:08, and an 8-year-old boy killed over the weekend by a driver while crossing an intersection in Crown Heights.
The young boy was crossing the street with his 18-year-old big sister at Eastern Parkway and Albany Avenue. This woman said the intersection is dangerous.
Yeah, the street is dangerous. Crossing the street, because sometimes you're crossing the street and then I have the right of way to go and driver coming up and like what's going on? It's sad. It's sad. Very, very sad.
Others in the community say they won't forget the young boy.
We're going to be lighting, women are going to be lighting Shabbat candles in his memory, and we're not going to forget it ever.
The 69-year-old driver stayed on the scene, and investigation continues. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
Let's head out to Idaho and what is just a bizarre story involving first responders. So first responders, in this case, firefighters, called to this Idaho mountain community because there was a wildfire. When they showed up, someone started shooting at them. 2 firefighters killed, a third one injured. The sheriff there says the gunman started a brush fire and then started shooting when they arrived.
We do believe that the suspect started the fire, and we do believe that it was an ambush and it was intentional.
In the end, about 300 officers descended on this area. They exchanged gunfire with the gunman.
We honed in on that cell phone, and we saw that there was a male, appeared to be deceased, with a weapon nearby.
Yeah, so they found the guy. Now, of course, they'll try to figure out a motive. He's dead.
During this time, we exchanged gunfire with the suspect.
Yeah, but meanwhile, 2 firefighters dead, another one in critical condition this morning. 5:10. One of the 10 inmates who escaped from a New Orleans jail last month is back in custody. So that means 9 of the 10 have been caught. The U.S. Marshal Service says Antoine Massey was recaptured in New Orleans. You'll remember he was the one that was posting messages on Instagram.
It's through our resilience and, more importantly, our collaboration is why we were able to bring Mr. Massey into custody today.
Louisiana State Police say a Crime Stoppers tip actually led to this arrest. That means someone's going to cash in. There was all kinds of money being put out for the recapture of these inmates who got out of jail.
It's pretty obvious over the last 6 weeks to remain a fugitive that long. He had assistance. He had help.
Yeah, he definitely must have had help. That was back on May 16th that they escaped. Louisiana State Police say now the only person who's still on the run this morning is Derek Groves, and they don't have a whole lot of information about where he'll be or where he is. 5:11. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is asking to remain in jail in Tennessee after the White House said it would deport him to a third country once he's released.
In a filing from his lawyers, Abrego Garcia's team said, quote, "We cannot put any faith in any representation made on this issue by the Justice Department." Abrego Garcia currently faces human smuggling charges. He was deported to El Salvador earlier this year before being returned to the U.S. in what's turned into a flashpoint for President Trump's illegal immigration policies. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
The opposition to ICE raids across the country continues. The latest ones in California over the weekend. A group speaking out that's an Asian American Pacific Islander group. They say that Asian Americans have been targeted by federal immigration agents.
If you support what's happening now because you think it's not happening to our community, think again.
So the vast majority of those taken into custody are Latino. Statistics show that deportations involving Asian communities, though, have been on the rise in the last couple of weeks.
Families are already being torn apart. It is only a matter of time before ICE comes knocking on the doors of tens of thousands of undocumented Asian families.
WABC News Time 5:12. President Trump saying over the weekend that the U.S. was terminating all trade talks with Canada. It came after Canada put a digital services tax on American technology companies, which he called a direct and blatant attack on the U.S.
So I said we're going to stop all negotiations with Canada right now until they straighten out their act. Canada's been a very difficult country to deal with over the years.
Okay, so he made that threat back at Canada, and then last night, Canada changed its mind, saying that they will not put that digital services tax on American technology. So apparently those tariff talks will be back on this morning. North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis announcing yesterday he won't run for re-election. Now, he was one of the senators who spoke out against President Trump's big, beautiful bill.
The two-term Republican said in a statement that decision is, quote, not a hard choice and that he hasn't exactly been excited about running for another term. His announcement comes after he said that he would oppose President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Tillis' seat in the battleground state was already a top target for Democrats in the 2026 midterm elections. I'm Lisa Carton.
5:14, the president giving a pretty long and in-depth interview to Fox News over the weekend about a whole bunch of topics. One of them was the tariffs that we were talking about. And he says that the upcoming deadline for U.S. tariffs to go back into effect on several countries is soon. The president saying he will soon inform those countries they can trade with the U.S., but the tariffs are returned.
I'm going to send letters. That's the end of the trade deal. I could send one to Japan. Dear Mr. Japan, here's the story. You're going to pay a 25% tariff.
So the White House deadline for countries to come to the bargaining table is July 9th. July 9th, rather. The president telling Fox News it's going to be very simple. He says he's going to send letters to these countries that don't make a deal by then and inform them they can trade with the U.S., but the tariffs will be awfully high.
Congratulations. We're allowing you to shop in the United States of America you're going to pay a 25% tariff or a 35% or 50% or 10%.
And he was talking about AI. The president says jobs being lost to AI is not a big concern for him, telling Fox News he understands the need for emerging technology, how it's replacing some American workers, but he insists there is a solution.
It's one thing, very simple, bring more companies in, more jobs. You know, the truth is we don't have enough people to take care of these jobs. This is perfect timing. We don't have enough people. If AI is so good, which I hear it is, and there's a lot of money being bet by very smart people, I'll tell you, we are dominating AI.
The president instructing his team to speed up the permit process now to build new power plants to help with the AI energy need. We're going to hear more from the president in a moment on the Iran bombings. And he says that he has a TikTok buyer. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We will start and remain here on the diamond. All that's really going on. Start here in the Bronx. Yankees walloped the Athletics 12-5 in the finale and rubber game of a 3-game weekend set. Jazz Chisholm Jr. had a stellar game. He went 2 for 3 with a home run, a bases-clearing triple, and 4 RBIs, jump-starting the early assault out of New York. Aaron Judge hit his 29th and 30th homers of the season, including a multi-homer milestone that moved him past Lou Gehrig into third place in franchise history, and Cody Bellinger chipped in with a 3-run shot as well en route to the win. Marcus Stroman, returning from the IL, delivered 5 strong innings, allowing just 1 run on 3 hits, having scored just 2.8 runs per game over their previous 16 contests. This win was a much-needed jolt for the still AL East leading offensive Yanks. Up next for New York, they'll head up north to Toronto to visit the Blue Jays for a 4-game series starting tonight. Carlos Rodon will get the start for a 7:07 p.m. first pitch from Toronto. In Pittsburgh, the Mets got their teeth kicked in by the Pirates all weekend long. After a 9-1 loss on Friday, they followed that up with a 9-2 shellacking on Saturday before finally capping it off with yesterday's 12-1 embarrassment of a loss. New York, who held a players-only meeting after the loss on Saturday, suffered their 13th setback in 16 games. They're a game and a half out of first place behind the Philadelphia Phillies. Starter Frankie Montas lasted 4 innings, allowing 6 runs on 7 hits. Luis Torrens put New York on the board with a home run in the 5th. The Mets were outscored 30-4 in the series by a team that entered Sunday's contest with the lowest run total in the National League. Up next for the Mets, after an off day today, they'll open a 3-game series back in Queens tomorrow night against the Milwaukee Brewers. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:19. President Trump says TikTok has a buyer.
Very, very wealthy people. It's a group of very wealthy people.
The president telling Fox News buyers in place, but he won't say who it is at this time. The president extending the deadline to sell the company from Chinese ownership, but it's 3 times now. He says he'll have more to say in about 2 weeks. It was Congress that forced the sale, fearing national security concerns over Chinese ownership.
We have a buyer for TikTok, by the way. I think I'll need probably China approval. I think President Xi will probably do it.
Yeah, the reporter asked the president if he would reveal who that TikTok buyer was.
I'll tell you in about 2 weeks.
So we'll have to wait. The president not holding back when he's talking about the Federal Reserve chair. He does not hold him in high regard.
So we have a man who's not a smart man, and he probably has Trump derangement syndrome, and he's just not a smart person. What he's doing, though, he's hurting us for years to come.
Now, he can't do much to replace him. He has to wait for Jerome Powell to step down. Powell says Powell's keeping interest rates high, and then he goes back to the beach.
And then he goes up, talks about, I'd like to see costs come down. You know, he gets up and he does his little thing for 5 minutes, and he goes out and he goes back to the beach. If we borrow money at 2 points higher than we should be paying, that's $600 billion.
The president thinks interest rates should be at 1% instead of the current 4.25% to 4.5%. The Senate debating President Trump's massive tax bill early this morning. I think they're still there. Votes are scheduled for this morning as Republicans try to pass the centerpiece legislation of Mr. Trump's second-term agenda. The White House narrowly passed the bill last month. I should say the House narrowly passed the bill last month, and Senate Republicans have had been working to put their mark on the legislation, treading carefully so not to throw off the delicate balance in the lower chamber. So reactions continue to pour in about this bill. You have Elon Musk, who's not a fan. He says the massive spending bill is insane and destructive. But Republicans like Mark Wayne Mullen, who's from Oklahoma, dismissing the tech billionaire's concerns. He was on Meet the Press yesterday.
I respect Elon. I think he's right for his opinion, but he just doesn't know. And so I have to disregard that. So you have a yes vote or a no vote. Stay where we're at or move forward. And I think the American people made it very clear in November they want to move forward.
The Oklahoma senator says he's confident eventually this will get across the finish line. Democrats, of course, in the way. Here's Senator Mark Warner sharing his thoughts about the legislation.
All these cuts, all this cutback on health care to provide the wealthiest in our country a disproportionate share of tax cuts, that just doesn't seem fair. And the more we can get that out, I think this will be a political albatross.
What Democrats have claimed is they warn the bill will cut health care for millions of Americans.
I think the overwhelming amount of data shows that on this one, this is tax cuts for the wealthiest to end up cutting health care. Plain and simple. You can put any lipstick you want on this pig, but it's still a pig.
522, Senator Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, says it's too early to tell if Iran has abandoned nuclear ambitions despite those U.S. strikes on its nuclear facilities. He was on ABC this week, says the focus remains on Iran's intentions.
But the question for the world, does the regime still desire to make a nuclear weapon? The answer is yes. Do they still desire to destroy Israel and come after us? The answer is yes. So before you sit down with the Iranians, make them say publicly for the first time, Israel has a right to exist. And if they can't say that, that tells you all you need to know about who you're dealing with.
Yeah, so he says he wants there to be talks between the White House and Iran, direct ones, but he says all those things have to happen first. The Trump administration rescinding the layoff notices now sent to Voice of America employees.
That's according to the New York Times, which reports that the move comes after employees for the broadcast network discovered errors in their layoff documents. An official with the Federal Workers Union representing Voice of America employees says the administration rescinded the layoff notices because those errors could allow the union to take legal action. Senior advisor to Voice of America, Carrie Lake, says the employees aren't being called back to work and the administration still plans to lay off much of the network's employees. I'm Jim Forbes.
523, California Governor Gavin Newsom says he's suing Fox News now.
I just filed a lawsuit against Fox News for lies, for deceit, for misrepresentation. Enough of their lies. We'll see them in court.
Newsom seeking damages of at least $787 million from the network for allegedly defaming him in its reporting of a phone call he had with President Trump. The suit alleges Fox News was motivated to lie on behalf of the president. 524, down to Texas, where Governor Greg Abbott defending his decision to sign a law that mandates that a picture of the Ten Commandments be hung in all public school classrooms.
I will always defend the historical connection between the Ten Commandments and their influence on the history of Texas.
A group of activists have already announced a lawsuit seeking to prevent the law from going into effect. Their suit claims the boasting the Bible verse violates the First Amendment of the Constitution, which prohibits the state establishment of a religion. Governor Abbott says he'll defend the law just like he's done in the past.
2 decades ago, I argued at the United States Supreme Court to defend the Ten Commandments monument on the grounds of the Texas Capitol.
525, let's go overseas. Investigators have begun analyzing data from that Air India flight that crashed right after takeoff earlier this month. Reports from the initial investigation show that the plane's 2 black boxes have now been downloaded so they can get a glimpse of what may have taken place.
Accessing the data for the black box is key as investigators begin piecing together details that led to the crash. India's aviation ministry said in a statement that it would, quote, help reconstruct the sequence of events leading to the accident.
That's correspondent Shitag Nagar, who is in India. A preliminary report expected to be released in about 30 days. Just one passenger survived that crash, which killed more than 260, including 240 who were on the plane. The rest were on the ground.
Investigators are now hoping to begin sharing details with a preliminary report expected in 30 days. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner operated by Air India crashed moments after takeoff from the western Indian city of Ahmedabad, killing 260 people.
5:26, while we're overseas, a Ukrainian F-16 pilot dead after a massive Russian attack over the weekend.
The pilot was destroying incoming Russian drones and missiles when he crashed. The Air Force said he was attempting to steer the jet away from populated areas and didn't have time to eject. He was the third F-16 pilot killed since Ukraine started flying the American-made jets last summer. The attack was one of the largest of the war, with Russia sending nearly 500 drones and 60 missiles across Ukraine. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The French, who love to smoke, now won't be able to do so in some public places, including beaches, parks, public gardens, and shelters.
The announcement was published in the official government gazette on Saturday. The ban also includes no smoking outside of libraries, swimming pools, and schools, and hopes to protect children from passive smoking. It did not mention e-cigarettes. Violators of the ban will be hit with a fine of €135 or nearly $160. I'm Lisa Carton.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, June 30th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sun and clouds this morning. Could see some thunderstorms this afternoon. High 87. Tonight and overnight, some stray showers, low 76. And then Tuesday, a cloudy start, and then afternoon thunderstorms possible again, high 86. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are, 71 clear in Smithtown out on Long Island, 69 and cloudy in Princeton over in New Jersey, and it's 72 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. We'll start this half hour on the mayoral campaign. So you have... We don't know if Andrew Cuomo is going to stay in the race, but his name's still on the ballot. Then, of course, you have Mayor Adams, and then you have Zohran Mamdani, who won the Democratic primary last Tuesday. And on the Republican side, you have Curtis Sliwa. And I was texting back and forth with Curtis all weekend long, and he says, I'm not going anywhere. You know, he says, people are trying to push me out of the race. I am staying in because I think I can win. And he says he continues to pile up endorsements from people on the right. The latest one was from the former Brooklyn Assemblyman Dov Hikind, who took to Twitter over the weekend to say that he is with Curtis Sliwa and people should not abandon him.
People saying to me, we love Curtis, he's the best for New York, but he can't win. Or people asking me, can he win? The answer is absolutely yes, without any doubt. Please don't buy what some people are trying to sell, that Adams is the savior or Cuomo is the savior. We need them to beat Mamdani. Don't buy that. By the time we get to the bottom of the ninth inning, with God's help, Curtis Sliwa will be the mayor of New York City. So everybody, take a deep breath.
WABC News Time 5:39. Let's go out to the campaign trail where Andrew Cuomo has apparently not decided whether he's going to stay in the race for mayor after he lost the Democratic primary, but he's been really present on social media, which pundits suggest means he's going to stay in the race. Here he was yesterday talking about gay pride. Yesterday was the gay pride parade, and letting the gay community know it was him that made gay marriage legal in New York.
Happy Pride. And New Yorkers, you take special pride because we passed marriage equality as the first big state right here in New York. And we started a movement that swept across the nation. Never forget what smart, effective, progressive government can do.
Right, so political pundits saying, hey, you don't make proclamations like that unless you're staying in the race. And then you had Zohran Mamdani making the rounds on some of the news shows. He was on Meet the Press yesterday, Asked about what our owner, John Catsimatidis, had said, this is one of Zohran's promises is that he would open city-run grocery stores. And John said he would close Gristedes if that happened. So he was asked about that, and here was Zohran's response.
Well, you take me to my next question about grocery stores. Some executives, including one of the top grocery stores owners, billionaires threatening to shut down his supermarket in the city. John Catsimatidis, who runs Gristedes grocery chain, you're probably very familiar with him. He said this on Election Day, quote, "If the city of New York is going socialist, I will definitely close or sell or move or franchise the Gristedes locations." In order to run New York City successfully as mayor, do you not need the support of a billionaire businessman like John Catsimatidis?
I don't know if I need his support specifically, but I want to make clear that my vision for this city is a vision for every single New Yorker, including business leaders across the city. And the reason I say that is that my proposals, even the ones to increase the top corporate tax rate of New York to match that of New Jersey, are ones that would also benefit those business leaders. Because when I have conversations with them, what I also hear is the just how expensive this city is preventing them from attracting and retaining the talent they need to grow their business.
No, so no backing off that pledge to have city-run grocery stores. He was also asked about the comments he's made globalize the intifada, and here's what he said to that.
Term globalize the intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable. In that moment, you did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews.
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights. And ultimately, that's what is the foundation of so much of my politics, the belief that freedom and justice and safety are things that, to have meaning, have to be applied to all people, and that includes Israelis and Palestinians as well.
Yeah, so not necessarily backing off that either as well. 5:42. Let's go out to Brooklyn. 8-year-old boy hit and he's killed by a car in Crown Heights over the weekend. We now know who he is, Mordechai Keller. According to cops, the 69-year-old driver collided with Keller, who was crossing at an intersection on Albany Avenue and Eastern Parkway. Child was rushed to Kings County Hospital, where he was pronounced.
Right now, we don't understand, and it hurts and it's painful.
I think it's even sadder because it's like a little child that I guess it feels like they had a whole life ahead of them.
Police say the driver remained at the scene.
So unless you're driving, you're walking. There's no bus to take, there's no train to take. So everybody's walking around, and there's accidents all the time.
Police say, as of last night anyway, they had not made any arrests. Police in Queens have arrested one of their own on drunk driving charges now.
The NYPD says 28-year-old officer Latifah Fitzalbert was taken into custody just before midnight Saturday following a crash. Fitzalbert, who's assigned to the 116th Precinct in Jamaica, faces multiple charges, including DWI, leaving the scene of an accident with property damage, and refusing to take a breathalyzer test. Police have not released details of the incident, including when and where the crash occurred. No word of any injuries. I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
Do you remember that god-awful story from last month up in the Bronx? This dad, allegedly, put his 2-year-old son into a bag alive and threw him into the Bronx River. Well, yesterday they had a funeral for little Montrell Williams. It was an intimate service with a closed casket as they said their last goodbyes to the toddler. I mean, you can't make up a more awful story. The father is behind bars. Let's hope he remains there. The family members saying their goodbyes yesterday. Wonder if police could have found this 2-year-old sooner. He was missing for about a month.
Mother stands so strong. Octavia, no parent should never have to do this.
That's right.
Under any circumstances, we just want to stop. That's what we asking, justice.
Yeah, so the family says they want to change the process to report missing children so this doesn't happen again. They hope to rename a street in their neighborhood after Montrell Williams in his memory. All right, 5:45. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start here on the diamond in the Bronx. The Yankees walloped the Athletics 12-5 in the finale and rubber game of a 3-game weekend set. Jazz Chisholm Jr. had a stellar game. He went 2 for 3 with a home run, a bases clearing triple, and 4 RBIs, jump-starting the early assault out of New York. Aaron Judge hit his 29th and 30th homers of the season, including a multi-homer milestone that moved him past Lou Gehrig into third place in franchise history. And Cody Bellinger chipped in with a 3-run shot as well en route to the win. Marcus Stroman, returning from the IL, delivered 5 strong innings, allowing just 1 run on 3 hits. Having scored just 2.8 runs per game over their previous 16 contests, this win was a much-needed jolt for the Yankees offense, still leading that AL East division. Up next for New York, they'll head up north to Toronto to visit the Blue Jays for a 4-game series starting tonight. Carlos Rodon will get the start for a 7:07 p.m. first pitch from Toronto. In Pittsburgh, the Mets got their teeth kicked in by the Pirates all weekend long. After a 9-1 loss on Friday, they followed that up with a 9-2 shellacking on Saturday before finally capping it off with yesterday's 12-1 embarrassment of a loss. New York, who held a players-only meeting after that loss on Saturday, suffered their 13th setback in 16 games. Starter Frankie Montas lasted 4 innings, allowing 6 runs on 7 hits. Luis Torrens put New York on the board with a home run in the 5th. The Mets were outscored 30-4 in the series by a team that entered Sunday's contest with the lowest run total in the National League in the Pirates. They are a game and a half out of first place in the NL East behind the Philadelphia Phillies. Up next for the Mets after an off day today, they'll open a 3-game series back in Queens tomorrow night against the Milwaukee Brewers. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. New York State improving benefits for a majority of workers at LaGuardia and JFK airports. Governor Hochul says upgrades to the Healthy Terminals Act set a standard wage for covered airport workers, including those who work part-time.
This is not to thank me. It's to thank all of you, because you're the ones who make this place work. If you were not here, we'd not be able to welcome millions of people here every single year. Leaving your kids, good weather, incredible heat. You had to come out in the last few days. Sometimes it's bitter cold out here. And you know what? You think no one's thinking about you. You're just doing your jobs. That is wrong, because I understand.
Hochul says the move ensures workers at both LaGuardia and JFK Airport receive the same standard pay and health benefits, while also bringing them in line with workers in New Jersey. That was a big deal there. 5:50, out to Long Island, where a woman at Jones Beach was bitten by a shark. This took place last week. I'm not clear why the story is only coming out over the last 24 hours, but she's fine. I mean, she has cuts to her foot and to her leg. Here's the scary part, is she was wading in the water maybe up to her waist. This took place at the Central Mall beachfront, and she felt something right away. Lifeguards, EMTs responded immediately, took her to the hospital. Non-life-threatening injuries, but of course still freaky that a shark is biting somebody.
I've been here my whole life and never seen a shark in here. I don't even know I'm going to let them go in, to be honest.
Now, beach officials think it's a sand tiger shark, which I guess is one of the smaller ones.
Makes me want to hesitate a lot to go into the water.
We've seen Jaws, which is 50 years old this year.
We come with grandchildren sometimes. You think twice. You got to be really careful.
Yes, so there were drones that were put over the ocean just to make everything was okay before they let people back in the water. Those drones are going to be out there all summer long, like they have been in the last couple beach seasons, just to make sure that swimmers are safe.
Oh my God, that's so scary. I didn't really think much of it. I didn't know there was a shark attack until right now.
Yeah, so to minimize the risk of shark interactions, this is what they're telling us. Avoid areas with seals, schools of fish, and splashing fish. Okay. And avoid swimming at dusk, night, or dawn. Okay, they seem to be good recommendations there. While we're talking about animals, last week we told you about this story in Brooklyn where police were called to this home to check on a 73-year-old woman. Her and her sister lived together in this house. She unfortunately passed away. And then when they got into the house, it was just a nightmare. 100 dogs were in this house. Most of them were alive. And now staffers and volunteers across the tri-state have taken these dogs in. One of the places is the Hudson Valley Animal Rescue Sanctuary up in the Hudson Valley. They've been working to save about 40 dogs that were rescued. Some of these animals, they say, were the worst cases of animal neglect that they had ever seen.
I didn't see the actual house, but just seeing the animals that came out of it, and how rough they were all, the shape that they were all in, I would say that this was probably one of the worst houses we've dealt with.
These organizations do amazing work, working alongside with compassionate animal rescue and efforts of Duchess or care workers, two different organizations. They were shaving these animals down. They had severely matted fur. But the good news is most of these dogs, minus a few, are going to be okay.
He was one of the ones that we had to, pretty emergently groom and get taken care of because he was completely matted with feces and urine, really unable to even stand.
We lost one puppy so far. It was born hours after it arrived, and unfortunately, it was stillborn. Everybody else is expected to survive. We do have 3 other pregnant dogs, so we're hoping that their puppies are okay.
Yeah, so although animal advocates are looking for foster homes for these rescued dogs, it could be months for many of them are medically or emotionally ready for permanent placement in homes. And just to make it a trifecta of animal stories, we'll go out to Staten Island, where a family there is fighting to keep Lucy the pig, their beloved pet and emotional support animal. Health officials are threatening to take her away because they say it's illegal to have a pet pig in New York City. So Lucy's lived with this family for a while, but she was the subject of an anonymous 311 complaint in June, and that's when health department officials knocked on the door of this woman's home, Lorianne Ganone, and she says she was surprised to see them at her front door.
She said, they're not allowed in New York City. You're violating the law. And I said, I didn't know. I'm confused. So I said, she says, well, we're going to have to get back to you.
Yeah, so in New York City, keeping a pig as a pet has been prohibited for at least 25 years. And they say for good reason. They say pigs need outside space and companionship of other pigs to thrive. They worry they could become aggressive. So the health department is apparently asking the Ganone family to move this pig. They have a house upstate, but the house upstate apparently is under construction. Meanwhile, thousands in this community on Staten Island have signed a petition supporting the Ganone family. They say this pig is beloved and that people come over just to pet the pig, and take it away would just be incredibly mean, not only to the family, but to the pig itself.
There's no benefit to remove this animal.
She was raised around us, so any other environment is not going to be fit for her. No threat to anyone, this darling pig.
Yeah, I saw our own Curtis Lewa was there over the weekend meeting with the family, trying to come up with a plan so they can keep their pig. Down in New Jersey, most New Jerseyans think beach tag badge prices are way too high. Of course, if you ask people if they're paying too much for a beach badge, they're almost always going to say yes. But Stockton State University did a study, and the study shows that most people in the Garden State think a trip to the beach should be free.
We pay taxes, and, that's what maintains everything. And, some people are on limited budget.
Helps to create the beach and, make the beach better.
The study says 65% of New Jersey residents believe it's a public resource which should come at no charge to residents. 30%, though, say beachgoers should pay for access because it generates revenue for essential resources.
When you go to North Carolina or you go to Florida and it's free, and those beaches are amazing too, it's kind of hard to believe that we pay.
I live in California, and I've never had to pay to go to the beach because the beach should be for everybody. How about people that can't afford it?
Yeah, again, when I find these studies sort of silly is if you ask somebody if they'd rather have something be free or pay for it, they're always going to say, I'd rather have it be free. So one thing they agreed on in this Stockton University study is they think beach tag badges, the ones you pay for to go on the beach, are just too much money.
Some towns are up to $20, and I feel like that's a bit pricey.
Whatever beach you go to, some of them are way too expensive.
Yeah. So anyway, this is the ongoing debate that's gone on in New Jersey for a long time. 5:57, traffic, transit on the 7th. Here's Joe Nolan.
It's a good thing you get your senior citizen discount. It's not so bad.
What is it, half price if you're
$75 in Seaside High Chair
for the whole summer?
For the whole summer.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad. From the Ray.
Wait, so is it 100? Let's see, 75.
It's more than that.
Wow.
It's I forget how much.
But it's like double, is what you're saying.
Yeah, a little less than double. Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
It's $75 for the year, though. For if you're an old, you know what. Well, from the Ray, like me. That's why I'm saying that.
Right,
like me.
Right.
From the RayCatina.com traffic desk. All right, here we go. Eastbound Jackie Robinson, just east of the Union Turnpike accident. One lane going to be closed. Also, it's half price on New Jersey Transit too. Eastbound on Route 3 at Route 21.
The movies. Don't forget the movies.
Movies. Oh, I know. It's great.
And don't they do like ShopRite 10% on Tuesdays or something?
Yeah, something like that. Tuesdays or something. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.